All right, you ready?
Yep.
Hi, Indy.
That's not Indy.
That was my dogs.
Whoops, sorry. Sorry, Indy.
I know that was Aggie. Actually,
Aggie and Chloe.
she's the small, high-pitched one. Okay, here we go.
Ready? Hit it.
What?
Oh, my next podcast is going to be with professionals.
Yeah.
Trying this again.
Yes, Mr. Cooper?
Hit it.
Oh, is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Okay, hit it.
Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 55, recorded March 9th, 2011. I'm Danny Cooper from PriusChat.com. I am the Charlie Sheen of this show.
Oh, okay.
And here is one of my... I'd like to introduce one of my goddesses, Mr. Russell Frost.
Touche, Mr. Cooper. I'm speechless. My name is Russell Frost, and I am from PriusOwnersGroup.com. And welcome to the show, live chatters and iTunes and subscribers.
Yes, we'd like to welcome everybody to the show. This is our third live episode. We record every Wednesday night around 9 o'clock. Tonight we're starting a little bit late, but we're going to maybe try to be on time next week. Who knows? We're recording it whether you're here or not, so if you'd like to join, great. If not, well...
The hell with you.
Yeah, or at least download it.
Yeah.
Download it 10 times as penance. How about that?
I like that.
Okay. Tony is taking the week off because he has... I guess a job or something. Things to do.
Something to do with an explosion or
I thought it
something.
was no issues.
He works for a company that I believe does something with energy, and he sent us an email referring to an explosion. So watch CNN tonight, and you'll probably know what's going on.
Well, we hope you're well, Tony.
Yeah.
See a skinny, pale guy running around. That's Tony.
If you want to hear us live and chat in our chat room during the show, you can always go to whatdrives.us/live, 9 o'clock Eastern Time every Wednesday night. Or you can just click on the live button there on the whatdrives.us website. This week, Russell and I are just very pleased to be joined by the remaining members of our regular panel. We're going to start out with the...
Nice. I mean, yeah, we're stuck with the leftovers. It's not-
I'm a remainder.
Why don't you just say it?
the woman in the burning state of Wisconsin. It's Linda Weideman.
Hi, everybody. Your token chick, ready to have a great podcast.
Thank you, Token Chick. Thanks for being on. And we've got the man that makes our... Well, he helps us reach our Honda quota. It's Jason Holder.
I guess that makes me the token Honda guy.
Exactly.
There you go.
Okay, I'm honored.
How much different from being the token chick when you think about it?
I guess not.
Oh.
This week...
Can't wait for the emails on that one. Yeah.
We can actually segue kind of right into our first topic for tonight, which is hybridcars.com article that told us about a slight little hiccup issue with a 2006 through 2007 Honda Civic Hybrid.
Indeed.
The DC to DC converters, which I don't think that means driving around the Beltway in DC. This is probably something else, right?
I'm guessing, yeah. And that may have been regional humor that most of our listeners
you have to be an East Coast, like mid-Atlantic person to get that.
Yeah, apparently there is a little boo-boo. I'm just curious, Jason, being the Honda guy that you are, have you heard anything about this?
I haven't. I was a little surprised when I saw this in our email as far as what we were going to cover tonight. I've known quite a few HCH owners, and most of them, to be honest, are 2006 and 2007 automobiles, and I haven't heard anybody talking about 12-volt issues that would be stemming from a malfunctioning DC to DC converter. You guys know what the DC to DC converter is in this car? I assume the Prius has something very, very similar. Are you familiar?
I would love to hear you talk about it.
Well, it's not. I was going to say it's pretty simple. It's not simple at all. But basically, what it's doing, you can think of it as a step-down transformer. It's taking the high voltage, from the traction battery, and it's stepping it down to the 12-volt to, essentially, it's functioning as the alternator. If the car, if it wasn't the hybrid car, it would have an alternator. Well, in lieu of that, it's a DC to DC converter. So, I understand what they're saying here in this article about engine stalling or malfunction of the headlights, because what you'd be experiencing at that point is just no 12-volt power that would be powering things like your ignition, your spark, that is, fuel pump, headlights, or whatever. I've never heard anybody talk about having a problem in that area, but I guess, according to this, quite a few have or could potentially. So
apparently 36,000 of them, huh?
That's how many are being recalled from 06 and 07. I assume that's every single HCH sold for the 2006 and 2007 model year, or at least the ones that have this determined to be malfunctioning or potentially malfunctioning component.
Yeah. Not so good.
But that'd be expensive, right?
It sounds like a fairly expensive component. But yeah, like Jason went into, it's an internal failure that could lead to engine stalling, or headlights will stop working. I assume the taillights will probably stop working. Maybe the radio, anything that basically relies on the 12-volt power.
It'll stop charging your iPhone.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's bullshit.
That's when you
Maybe
guys
we have
would
to
really
get a fuel cell to do that.
Later on in the show, Linda. Later on.
Oh, my bad.
So, I mean, I guess is the silver lining here, cheers to Honda for fessing up and issuing the recall and replacing this part? Is that the next way to...
As opposed to denying it, you mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a silver lining, yeah.
I guess.
Jason, let me ask you this from a technical perspective. Sure. Could DC conversion or failure of DC conversion lead to the issues that Honda is having with some of the batteries?
No, I don't think so. The IMA lights that come on in these cars from time to time, indicates a malfunction of the high voltage battery. Sometimes a low, 12-volt system can falsely trigger an IMA light. I've heard that from a few people, and I've never encountered that myself. But I know some Honda hybrid owners have recommended unplugging the energy vampires, like some of us run the scan gauge, some of us in fact run 2 or more, to unplug that if the car is going to be sitting for a while, because some devices still plugged in are actually using a little bit of energy. It certainly doesn't help things. I'm sure as if your 12-volt system is low, it's going to be calling for more current from the DC to DC converter. A situation like this could put extra load on the high voltage system, but I don't think, personally from my experience, my car isn't in this range, and I've had typical, battery issues that most Civic Hybrid owners have, and apparently my DC to DC converter is, as far as I know, not prone to this malfunction that they're talking about here. It said something about a diode or something that could have burned up or whatever. But
Well,
I personally don't think that would be causing. I think that Honda's problems with their batteries are it's something else. I don't think it's due to this. It'd be nice if it was something this simple, and I'm using scare quotes. It's simple.
Simple.
It's not something I could fix, I'm sure, but simple.
Not like a floor mat kind of change or something.
Nice.
Nice
Just-
and undercutting there.
Just tossing that one in there.
Yeah. Well, not really too much else to talk about this that I can really think of, but it is what it is.
Oh, that was deep.
You like how I throw out this wonderful insight that I have?
Was that a pun?
Okay, moving on to the next story.
Yeah. There are times you really think you should be hosting the show alone, aren't there? Yeah.
Supposed to
So
say no
next,
now, Danny.
on to the next story.
Next news. Yeah.
Moving on.
No, actually, there's times I think you should be hosting the show on your own, to be honest with you.
Oh!
Ba-dum-bum.
Burn.
I was trying to burn myself, guys. I don't know how the hell you took that.
Oh, I thought that was a...
This is the big piece of news for me this week. I know for others it may not have been too big of a deal, but Tesla has come out and kind of confirmed pricing and delivery dates and a little bit of packaging information. And it's... how do I put this? Tesla is taking an interesting turn, I guess, on how they're going to market the car. And I can see the arguments as far as... Okay, well, let me just first lay it out. They have priced the car. It starts at, what is it, like 50...
57.4.
Yeah, 57.4. That's for the 160-mile range. For the 230-mile range, it is 67.4. And for the 300-mile range, it is 77.4. So you're basically paying $10,000 per additional 70 miles of range that you want out of your battery pack. Now, there's no word on whether the 230-mile range comes with options that the 160-mile range doesn't, if they're going to go all Toyota on us like that. So that'll be interesting. But I think the real interesting piece to me was that the car that they're going to launch with is the 300-mile version, the $77,000 one. That's the one that's going to come out in 2012? Are they still talking about?
Well, they're saying deliveries are expected to begin sometime around the summer of 2012.
Yeah, so anytime within a 6-month period, or since they're in California, I guess I could say it's 9 months.
Or more, arguably. Yeah. I kind of make fun of that. I mean, I just didn't think, like I'm glad they're saying summer of 2012 and kind of reconfirming that, but summer of 2012 isn't a delivery date, it's a season. So, like June 12th, that's a date. You know, we'll have cars on the road, even if they just said June, but summer's, yeah, hey, good for them.
Well, they say
yeah, in summer in which hemisphere of the planet, you know? So
yeah, we meant the Australian summer.
Right, yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's... here's the thing. Like, this is a story, right? This is an automaker actually confirming what they've already said they were going to do, like, and announcing it, and that's like a news story. Isn't that sort of a commentary itself on the industry? Not to
Yeah, it actually kind of is, isn't it?
Say that one more time.
Well, what?
I don't listen closely
Now
enough
he's
to you
being
on a
deep.
regular basis.
He's reading the chat, be honest. He's reading the chat.
Look at the Bramble girls or something. No, I mean, isn't it a commentary itself that, like, an auto company just basically confirmed what they've been saying? They're just going to do what they said they were going to do, and when they said they were going to do it, and it's like a news story.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it would be like Honda saying, yeah, we're going to release 2012 models in late 2011. Okay, great. Good for you.
We have decided to follow through on our promises.
Yeah. And which takes nothing away from Tesla and my excitement that this is a totally cool car. You know, it nets down to about $50K, maybe a little less depending on what state you're in. You know, it's an awesome looking car. The performance wise, it's pretty cool. You know, it's, I don't know that because of the price, it's, you know, going to change the landscape of things, but it's very cool to see it happen finally.
Yeah. Well, Patrick in the chat just said the prices are higher. They had said $49,500 for the 160-mile model, but I think actually they had always said under 50 after the tax credit. Right? Isn't that the way that they've always said it?
You know who we should have here to ask about this? Wish Evan was here.
Evan Fusco, yeah.
Yeah,
And
ask him which one he wanted first, and then, yeah, he probably is way up to date on all this.
Let's wake his ass up in Kuala Lumpur, or wherever he is right now.
eating scorpions from a roadside vendor.
It's in Thailand today, isn't it?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think you might be right.
But I don't know whether that's either way. Can we agree that it's fairly close to what they said they were going to do? I mean, this isn't Fisker pulling the it's going to be $30,000 more than we originally told you. Sorry, cough, cough.
So what we haven't really nobody commented on what I thought was interesting with them coming out with a 300-mile version first.
But that's what they did with the Roadster. The more expensive version came out first.
Yeah, but that's the more expensive version of a super expensive car. I mean, right?
Well, that's true.
Maybe they're figuring that
the difference
that
between 50 and 70 is, I think, a vast difference than the difference between 120 and 135 or whatever.
Could it be that they're thinking that the people who are lusting over this car and just drooling, can't wait to get one, are going to buy the first thing that is available to them, and so of course they're going to start with the top end model? I mean, could it be that?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what my conclusion was, is that they know that all the early adopters are going to, A, they're going to go for the top end anyway, and B, they're going to pay whatever for what is going to be available.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
Well, in the chat, my friend Jerry says he talked to Chelsea about this, and he suggests that perhaps they're trying to nip range anxiety in the bud by bringing out the longest range model first.
That's an interesting way to take it on, I guess, yeah.
Well, or maybe also they're thinking that, summer of 2012, the 160 miles of range, which is, I mean, let's face it, pretty damn impressive right now. Maybe that won't be as impressive by summer of 2012,
Yeah, I think Patrick's hit. I don't think this is really to do with like nipping range anxiety in the bud. I mean, this is a company whose business model thus far has been selling $120,000. So for them, selling a $77,000 sedan is, kind of like dipping into the economy pool.
Blue light special.
Yeah, in a sense. It's a little odd to me. Honestly, I think it is. I personally think it sends the wrong message. I think you debut with your base model. And I'm not really sure why we wouldn't see all of these come out simultaneously. I'm not sure what the difference is in construction or why there's a staggered release. What the reason is for that? That's the part that I think is kind of interesting. Like, what's the point? I mean,
this is what could be interesting. Remember the Prius base model that was going to come out for the 2010 that was priced below the Honda Insight?
The one that they made 6 of?
Well, hell, did they make any?
Maybe not.
I wasn't.
Was that just something they had in mind? They thought fleets, of like it'd be a fleet vehicle or something?
Well, they announced it as a model that would be available in the future. And it's a car that they never had to bring to market because the Insight 2 never posed any significant threat to them. Now, it would be interesting if in the time between when Tesla announces the 300-mile, releases the 300-mile range, they put out maybe a 230, and then they decide, the $57,000 market isn't worthwhile for us to go into.
Yeah. Well, and what competition is there? I mean, is Fisker actually going to be delivering cars?
Don't hold your breath.
Right. And I mean, not to go through things we're going to talk about possibly later, and then there's Coda, who may or may not have a somewhat similar, well, kind of not even similar, not nearly as cool looking car.
Yeah, gosh.
I mean, I guess, in other words, there's really no competition. So, why not? I mean, if you're going to spend $60,000, could you spend $80,000 potentially? Sure, I guess. You may not want to, but you could.
Or you could buy me a house.
Yeah, I mean...
Whichever way you'd like to go.
It's so far out of my financial league. I have a hard time just kind of wrapping my brain around, an $80,000 car. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be interesting to see how the market goes by the time the end of 2012 rolls around and... what the market is at that point, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of EVs on the road, or not on the road, but at least in the market.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them are pretty expensive. And then there's going to be like this middle gap. There'll be the 50,000 plus, and then there'll be like the 30K and below, whether it's the Leaf or the Volt or the iMeave or whatever, the Fiat 500, the Mini EV, whichever one of those decides to really actually ship.
Of course, it would be cool if, like, the 160-mile range, they use the same battery that Toyota is going to use in the RAV4 EV. And so through economies of scale, they can, start to kind of whittle down on that price eventually when they ever do release the 160-mile range.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense. This is the time when they need to. Funky Moto in the chat, I think put it really well. They're rewriting the book on how we see cars right down to how we buy them. He or she, whoever Funky Moto is, said they know they're going to have to compete on price later. And I think that's kind of where I was headed in that, do you want a really cool, really fast, really sexy EV or not? There's not a lot of other choices out there. So, the Leaf is cute, but it ain't sexy.
The Leaf is sexy. Come on. Okay, not really.
There goes Nissan's support for the show.
Yeah. Sidebar. Guess what I get to drive Friday?
Your wife crazy?
Well, I do that every day.
Panamera?
No. The Leaf.
Oh.
You suck.
Going to a driving
So
event
jealous.
here in Charlotte.
Oh, very nice. Hey, guess you just came online.
I saw that Mr. Evan Fusco just
Evan
jumped
Fusco.
Should we try calling him?
on. No, his
Hell yeah.
whole family's probably asleep or maybe it's morning or something.
Yeah. Okay. I thought, well, speaking of future Tesla owners,
$8 a megabyte.
My mistake. Thank you, Mr. Funky Moto.
Yeah, wouldn't it be Funky Mota?
Very
don't know.
very good. No, you're right.
Okay. Anybody else have anything on the Tesla front?
No, let's talk about scooters.
Sharpen your knives. Here we go.
I'm tempted to have Linda introduce this one.
I know. Take it away, man.
Fremont Motors. I don't know if they're from Fremont or where they're from, but
Seattle.
Oh, well, it'd make more sense if they're from Fremont. They have showed off the Fido electric scooter, which literally kind of looks like a dog. But it folds up or something? I don't know.
No.
Oh, okay. So that guy's just walking away with a piece of it?
The battery pack. Is
Okay, gotcha.
so that if you live in an apartment or something, you can take the battery pack out, put it on that little rack, and carry it into your house and charge it.
Okay. So Russell, you've got a.
Okay, so while my cohorts on What Drives Us sharpen their insults for me, here's the deal. Like, if you listen to the show, I'm a big two-wheel guy. I love motorcycles, and I've been whining and hoping for cool scooters, cool EV motorcycles for some time. This one's really, really cool. Why? Number one, it's really ugly, and I love ugly. Number two, the people who designed it really thought about it. They didn't take a plastic scooter from China and cram some batteries into it and go, voila, we have an electric scooter. They designed it from the ground up. Really cool features like the removable battery pack that's on a little like luggage carrier thing. You can take it into your house and charge it. A lot of people can't necessarily plug their scooter in the garage or something. They live in an apartment. So that's a way to be able to use this technology if you don't have a single family home in the suburbs. I think that's a brilliant idea. Another little more brilliant things they thought of. Both the wheels are the same size. They're interchangeable. They're not having to make two different size wheels for the thing. It's got built-in storage capacity, and they've built this thing very, very rugged. They're going to sell it. Their target price is about $5,000, which, as scooters go, is it's about where they go. It's supposed to do 45 miles an hour. It's supposed to have a 35-mile-an-hour range. This is all based on a prototype, so obviously that could change. But I really love the approach that they took to this scooter because it really makes sense. And frankly, if they can get this thing to market, I think it's going to be a really, really cool EV. Now, go forward 2 years when gas is $5.50 a gallon, and tell me how attractive this thing doesn't look to like huge swaths of the American public. Okay, now tell me how uncool it is.
There's a backpack mounted under the seat.
It's not a backpack.
Did you read the article? It is indeed a backpack.
Well, it could be, but you're not going to wear the battery thing, is it? It's just
No, not the battery thing. This is the thing under the seat. It's a backpack. It's not the big flat battery. It's the backpack. The thing with the straps that you can get your feet caught into and like fall off your cycle. Yeah.
It looks like a refrigerator.
It looks like a jetpack. Now, if they laid it on its side and it would shoot flames out the back, maybe the little bike would go faster.
Okay, and if it was a jetpack, you'd like it because it'd be really cool.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
It would be a cool bike then.
So, Russell, I'll tell you where this, I think, really has a big market. The 1950s.
Okay. I totally get that. And then I look at like Vespa and I go, oh, wow, that business model seems to have worked for the last 60 years.
What is a Vespa? $1,100, $1,200 versus $5,000?
Obviously never priced a Vespa. A base model Vespa is about $4,000.
Wow.
That better have leather and like a
It does, yeah. It's got
fancy
leather.
seat.
And it has a fairing and it comes in colors and
I'm more than willing to go ahead. Keep coming. Come on, bring it.
This thing doesn't look like it would hold me.
hey, but you got a spot in the back you could strap Stella's car seat.
Yeah. Nicole would love that. And Russell, I've never heard of same size front and rear wheels as a selling point for any vehicle.
I don't think it's a selling point. I think it's a design point. It
I mean, I guess is it common on two-wheel vehicles to have the front and rear different size?
On most scooters, yes. To be two different sizes, yes. They'll typically put a little tiny wheel in the front, which sucks because it's harder to ride with those little stupid wheels on the front. I think that, again, the thing that struck me about this is I like the way they really designed it from the ground up. And if you don't like the styling, I mean, we can argue about that, whether or not it's going to add to your sex appeal or detract from it. But I think it's cool. And I think we're very quickly coming to a time when people are going to want inexpensive, less expensive than car options for, as a way to get from point A to point B. I mean, you look around the rest of the world, and scooters and motorcycles and bicycles vastly outnumber motor vehicles, cars. Okay, vastly outnumber them. And why? Because their gas is like $7 or $8 a gallon. As we get closer and closer to that, these scooters are going to look a lot cooler to a lot more people. And I'm glad to see an American company kind of trying to do something different. So, hey, cheers to Fremont Motors, and I think it's very cool.
Now you make me feel bad for laughing at it.
Well, at this point, we need to take a moment because something's wrong.
The chat's frozen.
Because nobody's chatted in 7 minutes?
Is the chat dead?
The chat died. The chat died.
Oh, no. So I've been missing 7 minutes of Russell. Shut up.
Probably.
Okay, yeah, they're okay. I just hit reload on the page, and there's a whole bunch of conversation.
Let's see here. Give me just a second. I'm going to have to...
Yeah, froze it up.
Fixed.
Everything's frozen. Huh. Trike. Interesting.
Russell did it for laughing at the scooter.
Oh.
Oh, look, there's chat. Just got to reselect our colors.
Oh, no. I'm not my color anymore.
I know, life is hard.
It done froze up. That right there. Danny Cooper, college graduate.
That's Gamecock speak.
That's how we talk down here, yo.
See, what's funny is the Carolinas are not really down anywhere. They're kind of over there on the side. You got like lots of states beneath you.
Yeah, it's not like we're Alabama.
Right. Georgia, Mississippi.
Thankful for that, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Oh, I've alienated more listeners.
I tell you, I'd love to be from Texas. That just seems like a great place to be from.
Really? You think so?
Really?
Wow. I gotta hear this shit.
Something I've ever heard on this show.
I love Texas. I do.
Wow.
I want a big hat, and I
just
want
got that
some
swagger.
cattle, and I want some spurs, and
Pickup truck?
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I should probably stay away from that one myself.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, I have friends in Texas, and I feel bad for them every day. Let's just leave it at that. Linda, come on! You really did not rip on the scooter, and I was waiting for you to
Use the P word.
Yeah, I was waiting for the emasculation mobile.
do you remember that our host cautioned me against F-bombs and cleaning up the language before we went live?
Oh, okay.
All right, so I have no idea what happened to the chat and everything, but that was kind of weird.
Okay.
But it looks like we're back up.
We're back up there, and
So did everybody miss our harassing of Russell? Because if so, that's too bad.
I missed the announcement from Zero. If they announced a new...
Well, Funky Moto, if it's not a backpack, then Linda doesn't want any part of it.
No, Linda didn't want the backpack on this one because it looks like a little toaster on straps for your back.
I think the idea of having that ability to bring that battery pack in with you, I'm thinking not just going in, for the evening or whatever, but let's say most of the places that you go to, it'd be great to to go ahead and charge it. But not every place is going to have an electrical connection conveniently located near to where you're parking your scooter. But you could take that battery inside if you're going into a coffee shop and just sit there and charge while you're drinking coffee or something too.
I will say that is a very cool idea.
I wish I could do that with my car.
Absolutely.
Just bring the battery in with me. Bring it on a 4-wheel cart or something. Plug it in.
Again, I mean, I like what I think they put a lot of good thought into this product. I like the price that they're shooting for, and I think it's a cool design, and it's a design that leaves them a lot of room to, I mean, if the battery pack's removable, then that means you could upgrade it. That means you could have an extra battery pack. There's all kinds of things.
Okay, if you made that a saddlebag instead of a backpack, if you gave that thing a real front fork instead of that little sideways weird crap thing going on, and if you gave me a color besides appliance white, I might be interested in seeing this again.
But it has cork handles, Linda.
And a cork floorboard, apparently. Which in Wisconsin winter is going to, not going to last very long.
Obviously, this isn't a product that's going to, do well out of the Sun Belt anyway. Because it's not, you can't use motorcycles and scooters once a year.
Patrick says she wants red.
Of course.
Yeah.
0 to 60.
I don't know. A lot of these little electric scooters are really frighteningly fast. I rode a prototype a couple of years ago and totally blew me away. With a supposed 45-mile-an-hour top speed, and I had the thing up to 50 in a very few seconds, which is frightening on a little scooter, believe me.
I could deal with a 45-mile-per-hour top speed. I really don't go very much faster than that on a day-to-day basis anyway, so I'd be fine with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to real cars. shall we?
Yeah, so you're not going to talk about
Sure.
that story.
That's funny. That's a good
Oh,
one.
I got 1 million of them, folks. I'm here through Thursday.
Thank God it's Wednesday.
Those of you who have listened... Oh, that was good.
Zing.
Just stepping in for Tony.
Those of you who have listened to the show before know how Russell and I feel about prototype cars. Concept cars, as they're often called. Know that we pretty much hate them. But that won't keep us from talking about them tonight, because there was an interesting article over on hybridcars.com that went through the 5 green cars at the Geneva Auto Show that we may have missed. And to be honest with you, I may have missed these. I totally missed these.
Yeah, I don't care. I guess I'm bad.
I avoided these. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Although there are some interesting aspects to them. We were talking just last week about Mitsubishi and the iMEV. And Chelsea was saying that they're going to move towards an all electric line, potentially, which could be very interesting. And this the first car, it's just called the Mitsubishi Small Global Concept.
Yeah.
It is.
Ginormous crossover.
Yeah, it's not small. It's
No, look at how big it is compared to those guys standing 20 feet behind it.
Well, that might be an issue of forced perspective, but this is definitely not a small car by any means.
It might.
I
first
kind of
come
like
out-
it.
It's kind of cool. It might first come out as a hybrid, complete with stop-start technology and regenerative brakes, and then eventually move into an electric form, which would be very interesting. But like I said last week, there's several $1,000 difference would have to be there before I would put a Mitsubishi in my driveway versus a Toyota, Nissan, even a Hyundai, even a
Ford.
Honda.
Wow, now that's some strong language, Mr. Cooper.
I already have one Honda in my driveway, actually. So
I was going to say, watch the Honda remarks.
yeah.
Okay, here's my take on this. Since you asked. Oh, wait, you didn't. But I'm going to offer it anyway.
Russell, what's your take on this?
Only car that I give a fat rat's butt about in this thing is the Tata Pixel. And there's probably reasons that it's not available in the U.S., and I'm sure it probably doesn't survive any kind of crash testing here. But it's been on sale in India, where it's produced. It's a tiny EV, which, again, if you've listened to the show, you've heard me kind of rant about these little mini EV things, but it's $2,200. Now,
No, the Nano is.
That's less than your scooter.
$2,200 for a little tiny EV? That's pretty damn cool.
No. Hold on now. The Nano is $2,200.
Excuse me. The Nano, correct.
There's no dollar figure yet on the Pixel.
Right. But Tata's whole thing, and only reason I know, because I've kind of followed them for the last few years since I met some of their people at Tour de Sol in New York in like 2006. Their whole thing is making very inexpensive, very inexpensive small EVs and bringing them out to the mass market. They're not interested in making a lot of freaky concept cars and a lot of performance stuff. They want to be able to make and sell a ton of tiny cars. So I'd like to see, I would be very interested to see something like this. Again, I don't know if it's a crash issue or if it's something else, but again, at that price, I got to think a lot of people would really look and go, why wouldn't I have one of these in my driveway?
It's got some of the styling of the Prius C. Except the Prius C is probably like 4 times the size of it.
Yeah, it's a little bigger. Okay, that's
Well, if those are 1 foot squares, we're talking about the Tata, the Pixel, right?
right.
If those are 1 foot squares in the tile beneath it, then that car is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 feet long.
I'm willing to bet those are but yeah. Yeah, it's probably tiny. I mean,
It's cute.
and I contrast that with the Mini Rocket Man below it, which just irritates me because it's totally cool. But come on, we've been down this whole like carbon fiber construction road. There's no way to scale that for any kind of reasonable production vehicle.
So why didn't they use aluminum? Why did they use carbon fiber instead of aluminum? Because if you had an aluminum car with a 3-cylinder engine, you'd have it, and 2 doors, you'd have an Insight. Oh, wait. You already do.
Some of us do. The lucky ones do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mini's way cooler than a Insight. Come on.
Oh,
I
blasphemous.
beg to differ, Mr. Cooper. Have you spent much time around or in a first-generation Honda Insight? That is the geekiest, coolest thing ever to be created.
I thought you were going to say if you spent much time in or around a Mini Rocket Man.
Well, have you done that either? Because that sounds pretty cool, too.
I don't think anyone has. No, Russell, I agree with you about the whole Tata thing. First of all, I like Tatas. So I'd just like to get that out there.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd take a stand on that issue. Very
Yes.
Oh, no.
Cooper.
Unfortunately, they didn't show any of the car models with the picture of the Tata, but I don't even know where I was going.
Is it really?
Top 3 off, right?
Doesn't really matter, I don't think. And I mean, yeah, you look at this thing, and I don't see how it could sustain any sort of American crash test. But I guess if you're driving the speeds of our own Jason Holder, it's very unlikely you'll get into a high-speed crash of any sort.
Maybe they're thinking that it will survive a crash of the same vehicle, like if 2 of them hit.
Well, or in India, you'll hit a llama or a camel or something.
I'm about to climb up on a soapbox here. Okay, we can't like.
Is it a scooter?
I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I didn't hear you.
I didn't say anything.
You did too.
Mm-mm. You're going to climb on a soapbox.
This whole argument that cars are too small is like, I get part of that, and I've made that argument about city EVs and all of that. But the other side of it is, if we're going to really evolve and maybe figure out a better way to get ourselves around, we really need to get over this whole, like, good God, I've got to have 4,000 pounds of Detroit steel around me, and I've got to be sitting 5 feet in the air. It's just not practical.
Amen, brother.
And
I feel strongly about that too. Yeah.
At some point, our vehicle fleet is going to be smaller. Let me just make that bold prediction, which is like saying the sun's going to rise tomorrow. At some point, our vehicle fleet in general is going to downsize significantly, because guess what? All the people that don't have to drive big cars are going to get really tired of putting $5 a gallon gas in their car. They're already complaining about it now at $3.50.
Yep.
So
they're just getting warmed up with that too. I got to talk to a guy today that's he's already sweating bullets over the because he knows he sees the writing on the wall, and he right now he's driving one of those ginormous crew cab Dodge dually diesel things, and he's already complaining, and I really didn't say it because I didn't want to just seem like a jerk, but it's like, oh buddy, wait, you just wait, it's going to get so much worse for all of us, but especially for some.
Yeah, so that argument at some point stops being like reasonable and starts being just an excuse to try and hold on to what we have now, which, hey, I guess that's fine. If we want to try and pretend that oil's always going to be a cheap, plentiful resource, then hey, go for it. I'm not in charge, but
well, hell, let's just move on to the next story. Because it's it goes hand in hand with the whole gas price conversation. Hybrid Cars every month pulls together their hybrid car sales numbers, and this month, February, surprise, surprise, I bet it was the last week and a half of February, hybrid car sales are outpacing normal traditional ICE cars as far as sales go, percentage-wise. And I don't think that is a shock to anyone who's listening to this podcast. But one thing I will say just about the fuel prices is that, just 2 weeks ago we had on the gentleman from the Chrysler dealership, the Dodge dealership, and boy, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, they are in a bad position when it comes to rising fuel prices. They are not protected within their model lineup from something like this.
Yeah, I'm afraid they're doomed unless they've got an ace up their sleeve that nobody's caught wind of yet, or they're not letting on about.
They're banking that people will always need big trucks, and a certain group of people will always need them. Now, whether they'll be able to afford them or not, their story. But yeah, I mean, when your fuel efficient vehicle is the Avenger, you're screwed.
Well, what's going to happen with it is that, yeah, there are people that need big trucks. And in the future, going forward, the only people who are going to be purchasing big trucks are those who really need it. All these wankers that think they need it, that they actually don't, they're going to get rid of those things. Or it's just gonna bury them. So,
yeah,
I've seen so many articles the last few days, and they're all like, hybrids see renewed interest amongst high gas prices. In other news, people still breathe. It's like the stupidest title to articles I've ever heard in my life, because it's the most obvious thing, right? Or am I just crazy?
It's sort of like when you read an article about some sort of a scientific discovery. They always seem to exaggerate, and the headline writers do a weird job. It's always like scientists are baffled or something.
Yeah.
They have to make it an interesting headline, and I guess by wording it the way you just said there, Danny, it makes it interesting right from the get-go, right? Because the average Joe might be like, oh yeah, maybe I didn't know, but I guess the hybrids were in trouble, and now it looks like they're back. I think I'll read this.
Yeah, it's like car buyers this past week more interested in hybrids than last week.
Yeah.
No shit, Sherlock. Thank you very much for your reporting.
Yeah. Well, I've always listened. The news makes you more stupid. Okay. That's
what. Who was it that I'm going to quote Christopher Hitchens here, or paraphrase? He said that he became a journalist so that he would actually be able to, to find out what was going on in the world. He wouldn't have to rely on the media to report. There's something to that, maybe.
I think it was the free drinks, actually.
Well,
sorry.
Let's look at some of these numbers real quick, because they are fairly compelling numbers. I mean, I don't really like looking at. We've talked about this before, but I don't really like looking at comparing it to last year.
Yeah, year over year is.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, looking at the Highlander, the Highlander sales were up 108% compared to February of last year. There can be so many factors, But let's look at the biggest movers and shakers. The Prius was up 27% compared to last month. The Fusion, which really surprised me, was up 42.3% compared to last month. So good numbers for that. The CRZ is up 22%, which I gotta hand it to Honda. They actually have some good numbers here with the inside in the CRZ. A total of about 2,800 units they're moving this past February.
That was me not saying something.
Go ahead and say it, Russell.
Dramatic pause. What comes
waiting.
Thinking? Okay, so I mean, honestly, look at it. And I'm not cheerleading for Toyota at all here, but holy shit, 13,000 Priuses, and second place has 1,700 cars.
See, I wasn't even going to say it. That's just mean.
No, but I mean, what? That's why I get a little irritated though when we start talking about second place or it's going to be big. They're not even in the same order of magnitude here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you add up the rest of them, clean diesel, electric cars, all of them combined, and they probably don't add up to the number of Prius sales.
No. The Prius outsells everything else on this list combined.
Well,
now
it's probably because that kind of works for the most number of people, and it's really probably just about the best overall car from this list. Would you agree?
You know what? I would agree, and that's being sort of, partisan, because I own the Prius and I've loved it for a long time. But what blows me away is that, like, obviously there's a lot of people out there who could buy a Honda Insight pretty cheap, or could buy a CRZ, and last month 3,000 people did. And last month 13,000 people bought a Prius. That's wild to me that they're that far behind.
Well, my Toyota dealer here in town has about 70 Priuses on the lot. My Honda dealer has 4 Insights and 2 CRZs.
Oh, Linda, don't get me started on this again.
I'm just saying.
Don't get me
if
started.
If I needed to buy a car this week, I wouldn't be able to buy an Insight or a CRZ because they wouldn't have the combination of features and color that I want from that limited quantity. I could walk into Toyota and I'm sure find exactly the combination of package and color that I desire because the production numbers are so much higher.
Is that Barcelona red Prius looking pretty good to you these days, Linda?
No. Oh. I'm not driving a boat down the road.
Oh!
Wow. The Prius
it's just
is
big.
A boat
The
now.
Prius is big. The Prius is big.
I agree, but I think it's because Linda and I both spend a considerable amount of time behind the wheel of a first-gen Insight, though.
Right.
The Insight 2 is what? Almost the same size as the Prius?
It's pretty darn close, I believe.
And it's a little cheaper than the Prius?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one's a small car, one's a medium car, according to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration.
I still don't get the disparity. And look at let's take Honda out of it. Maybe Honda for some bizarre reason only wants to ship 3,000 hybrid cars in the U.S. every month, and they're never going to sell more than that because that's all they're shipping.
Right.
Ford certainly doesn't have that issue, and they sold 1,300 Fusions. And the Fusion's a nice car.
But an expensive car.
Right.
It's a little pricier, but it's
what, $28,000?
Hey, look at what sold only 100 fewer than the CRZ. The Lexus RX 450h. You could buy like 3 CRZs for the cost of one of those. The numbers on the RX Hybrid are very impressive to me. I mean, I know that is kind of
which one is that one? Is that the big SUV? Is that or the little one?
The little SUV, the little Lexus.
Okay, yeah.
And I mean, I know that's kind of the non-traditional, traditional hybrid buyer. You know, the people with money who want to feel good about the environment but still want an SUV.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's been a very, very popular, the RX 450, without the H, that's been a very, very popular model for Lexus. So, I mean, it's not so crazy to me and it's been an established model for a while. It's not so surprising to me that it's sort of nipping at the heels of a fairly new model that's a 2-seater, from Honda. I find that, it seems like in this country at least, people will buy, 1,000 SUVs before one person buys one 2-seater car. Of course, there's not many 2-seater cars anyway.
Okay, just to give you an idea, the Fusion sold a total of 23,111 units last month. So 1,400 of those were hybrids. I'm assuming that 23,111 includes the 1,400 hybrids. And let me find out what the Lexus numbers are here, because I think it's important.
Russell, I was going to follow up to what you were saying earlier about you don't get why the Prius is almost an order of magnitude more sales than the number 2. I mean, I don't think it's very difficult to understand. It's a great car, and it meets the needs of most people. I think that are looking for a car, and they've had excellent market penetration, and it's not. It's a name that's been around for over 10 years. I guess it's worked well for them in the bottom line. And I say this, being a person that owns Hondas, the Prius is a great automobile. I mean, do you think there's something else more than that to it, or?
No, I don't. I honestly don't know. I mean, if I was a cartoon character, big question marks would be shooting in my head right now because I just don't know. it would make more sense to me if number 2 maybe sold even 5,000 or 6,000 versus the Prius selling 13,000. The idea that number 1 sells 13,000 and number 2 sells 1,700 boggles my mind.
Yeah.
That number 2 is that unpopular or that poorly distributed or whatever it is. Let me ask the question the other way. Look at the Toyota Camry Hybrid. 993 last month. That's almost as much as the CRZ.
That surprises me. I think I've seen almost all of those 993 running around my hometown because all I ever see are Camry hybrids on the roads out here. Seriously.
And that's a car that, somewhat like the CRZ, has been kind of universally panned for a number of reasons. It's not cheap. The trunk is full of batteries. And it's a Camry for better or worse. Either you like that kind of vanilla style or you don't. But, so here again, the Camry Hybrid is close behind the Insight, the Fusion, the CRZ, and this Lexus RX450H. It's right in there with them.
Well, what's very interesting about the Lexus RX, and I just looked up the sales numbers. RX total sales for last month, 6,557.
Wow.
So almost a seventh of the RX sales were hybrids. That is a really high hybrid percentage, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Compare it 15%?
Yeah, I mean, what did you say the Fusion sold last month? 23,000?
23,000, yeah.
Yeah, 1,300 of them were hybrids, That's
significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I got on that.
Well, it's nice to see a list here in February 2011 that has, 20-odd cars on it. Just think 5 years ago, we'd have had 9, and think 10 years ago, we'd have had 2.
Oh, yeah. Great point. It's a win everywhere, right? I mean, just the fact that there's all these options.
Yeah, very much so. It's a win for the car buyers.
Yeah.
And obviously the upper-end car buyers, because there's a lot of expensive cars on this list.
Yeah, there are a lot.
A lot of expensive cars. I mean, go down the list of the cars that are $40,000 or more, and more than half, maybe 70% of these cars are $40,000 or more, $50,000 or more.
Okay, so ready to move on, Russell? Or you got anything else to say?
Me?
You can. I know you can just say stuff. Anyway.
Wow.
Ready for our comedic intermission here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a little hilarious piece of news out of Coda. Coda is the I'm going to call them the potential manufacturer of an all-electric sedan that they're going to start selling in California by the end of, they were going to sell it by the end of 2010, but that didn't happen. So instead of selling the car, they have come out and said that they will sell 50,000 of the cars, which they have not sold one of, by the end of 2015. So 50,000 Codas, 4 years, divide by 8, carry the 2, 12,500 Codas a year. That's 1,000 cars a month. So let's go back to our handy dandy list here of hybrid sales.
That's a strong second, right?
That's a strong fifth in this current list.
Yeah. From a company that's currently producing 0 cars.
It would be towards the tail end of this list, yeah.
Yeah.
Am I just being an ass, or anyone else have any other thoughts?
It could happen, right? It's possible. Okay, maybe not.
Come on, Linda, say something supportive. Or say something not supportive. Linda has nothing to say.
Maybe we lost Linda. I don't know.
She's quiet.
I'm sorry, I'm talking. I'm on mute because I was coughing. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's it's an uninspiring looking car. I Googled for other pictures, and it's got to inspire people. It's got to have some, hey, I want to buy that in order to get those kind of numbers, I think. And if you put out a car that looks like a Corolla looked like 10 years ago, I just don't think people are going to jump all over it.
Thank you. That is exactly what to say.
This car already looks like it's from the 90s.
Yeah. Nope. That's perfect.
And it's $45,000.
Yeah, no, see, that's not going to... It's got to look like that, I don't know, the Phoenix on that previous story, that we didn't even talk about. It's got to look like that or something.
And you know why we didn't talk about it? We didn't talk about it because it's not going to end up being a real car.
Well, no, exactly. But if this uninspiring look is your concept and you pare that down for your actual production, what the hell?
Well, if the car wasn't $45,000 or $46,000 or whatever it is, what is it? I need to go back here and see. What does it net down to?
That's exactly what it looks like, Funky Moto, a 1999 Civic.
Yeah, it nets down to 37, so it's like 45 grand. I mean, if this car was 25,000, they could pull that off. You know what I mean? They could get away with it. For 45 grand, I don't see that. I just don't see it flying.
For half that price, I can get a CRZ that at least looks good.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not all electric, no. But I've got $20,000 in my pocket. And I look good.
Well, there's that.
You can put a solar system on your house for...
Right, or something,
Well, let's look at, if the car came out today, its direct competitor would be the Nissan Leaf, which, like I said last week, and I already said on this show, I don't... If the Leaf cost more than the Coda, I would buy the Leaf because it's got the Mitsubishi name behind it. I mean, I'm sorry, the Nissan name behind it.
Right. And it's a hatchback, which makes it a little more versatile.
Right. And let's go back to our sales dashboard from last month, and let's look at the number of sales for the Leaf last month. 67.
Well, that's definitely a supply issue. I don't know that it would be much higher than that, but I mean, that's definitely a supply issue. We know that because they haven't been shipping.
Oh, and Coda won't have any issues with supply.
I'm not saying they won't, but I really would like to know if the spigot was open on the Leaf, what it would sell. And we haven't seen that yet. There hasn't been a single month of that because Nissan hasn't been able to get its act together and ship the Leaf in any kind of quantity. So, and that's squarely in Nissan's, without question, that's Nissan's fault. That number would be a lot higher. I think that number would be higher if they were shipping. How much higher? I don't know.
Well, is the Volt a supply issue? It had 281 sales.
I don't know. I mean, are they making 300 cars a month right now? I could kind of believe that, actually. I don't know how many they're making. Has anybody seen Volts pile up on a lot yet?
No, I've never seen one, period.
Yeah, I don't...
Of course, I don't live in a state with it.
Where they're shipping. I mean, I think both the Volt and the Leaf are in... I don't want to say maybe intentionally constrained shipping issue.
Well, Patrick says the Leaf will really start shipping in April and May.
Yeah.
But the Volt is another topic entirely.
When I drive by the Chevy dealership and I see 10 Volts out front, I'll know that they're shipping as many as they can. I mean, that's just... That's where I'm definitely going to go with the constrained supply issue. But I agree. This car is just it's really boring, and the only thing cool about it is it's an EV made in the U.S.
Right.
Otherwise, it's boring. It's ugly. It's expensive, and it's not even like on lots yet.
That's what it looks like. Is the Geo Prism.
Oh,
I can see that too.
That's mean.
That's not mean. It's true.
If it's true, that's awful. I'm not sure I see it. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Those were not handsome cars.
Well, Russell, can you take us into the next story? This is more up your alley, I think.
What are you trying to say, Danny?
I'm not a science nerd.
Oh, okay, science geeks. Engadget had a story this week that researchers have found flaws in the neodymium magnet crystalline structure. And so what does that mean? Neodymium magnets are rare earth magnets. They're used all over the place, but most notably, you will see them in electric generators and electric motors. Researchers finding these flaws and thinking that there is a way that they may be able to increase the efficiency of these magnets by addressing those flaws and optimizing these magnets may mean enormous gains in electrical generation and in motor efficiency. This is probably something, if it pans out, is something that we won't see effects from, for a couple of years. But what it could mean is that for effectively the same price, you're going to see vehicles that are significantly faster, more efficient, and generate a lot more electricity, regenerative electricity. So, again, increasing efficiency, increasing range for what is effectively the same price. It could be a huge, huge breakthrough. We'll have to see.
So is this like
And it could make big 12-inch woofers sound a lot louder.
is this the equivalency of like us having the light bulb for 200 years and then finally we figure out, we can make this thing a whole lot more efficient?
I don't know. Maybe it's like, I guess something like that.
I think it's the equivalent of people, taking herbs or using willow bark because it was getting rid of their headache, and then medicine goes in there, scientific medicine, and kind of isolates what the thing is that's causing what compound in the substance is producing the wanted effects, and then it just optimizes it and purifies it, and then next thing you know, we don't need willow bark for aspirin. We're synthesizing it, and it works very good. I think this will be science's chance to optimize some of these things and make them work much more efficient for us. That'll make for a very, very, very strong and lightweight and powerful electric motor if they optimize this, this crystalline structure defect thing that they're talking about here.
Yeah, imagine if these electric motors and motor generators weighed half as much as they do.
It'd be amazing.
And still generated the same torque and generated the same electricity that they currently do. That it like has a ripple effect out, and it could really be a huge impact on the way we do a lot of things. And it's not even just limited to vehicles. Obviously, this could affect enormous range of electronic devices. But for us, because this is a vehicle show and that's what we talk about, I think it's an interesting idea. And it's one of those things that, hopefully we'll be able to look back to, 2 years from now, 3 years from now and say, wow, remember when the Leaf only had, a 70-mile range? That would be cool.
It'll be like looking back at a 100 megabyte hard drive and just laughing, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're dealing in terabytes, right?
I don't know if this is a demonstration of Moore's law or not, but it's certainly it's an interesting development.
That it is. I will agree on that.
So much for the science geek portion of today's show.
As much as I understand about what you just said,
Does that?
I agree.
Am I making sense to anybody, or does that just seem like babble?
No, I think it makes total sense.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You know what doesn't make sense, Russell?
What doesn't make sense, Danny?
Fuel cells.
What doesn't make sense? Fuel cells.
Fuel cells.
Fuel cells are so lame.
They are.
You want me to
pretty
do this
lame.
one too?
Yeah, I'm just gonna set it and you spike it down, buddy.
Thank you. Spike. Oh, is that the set? Okay.
That was the set. Yeah. I think the ball has fallen to the ground now.
Let's set him up again, Danny. Let's try one more time.
You know what's lame, Russell?
What's lame?
Fuel cells.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Okay. And why are they lame? Well, because they just never delivered on the promises. And we've talked about that here on the show innumerable times. It's not that, and I'll speak for everyone, and you guys can yell if I'm misrepresenting your position. It's not that none of us want fuel cells. It's just that they don't really seem to deliver any kind of sensible energy like they're supposed to. It would be great if they did what everyone thought they could do, but they just don't ever seem to do that. And this story in Engadget was a really good example of that. And this is not by any means, this is probably the third or fourth device that I've seen have this kind of performance. A company that is tragically called Aquaferry.
That is bad on so many levels, huh?
So bad. Came out with a device called an AFM 3000. And basically what it is, and again, there's a number of these. Toshiba makes one. I want to say like Samsung makes one. It's a little tiny fuel cell. And the idea is you put a little water or a little methanol in it or something, and it's a handy little thing to charge your cell phone, right? Or charge whatever portable electric device. And you don't have to keep electricity in this thing because it's a fuel cell. Yay, fuel cells. Well, the problem is these things don't work. Engadget tried this one, and this fuel cell, it took 90 minutes to get to a 50% charge on an iPhone, which is pathetic performance.
That's really pathetic.
Doesn't mean anything from you. So my point in adding this to the news feed this week was just, wow, what a surprise we don't have fuel cell cars dotting the landscape and driving all around, because no one's been able to get the technology to work.
And you forgot about the cost, Russell. $6 for that 50% recharge.
Yeah, $6, and you've got to what do they say, like nickel metal hydride or something, or nickel hydride cells to power this thing. I mean, it's ridiculous on every level. It just doesn't work. And again, it's not that we don't want it to work, it's that it doesn't work. So why are we messing with it? Until somebody can actually get it to work, I just wish that we would spend our time getting to the next logical thing rather than trying to leapfrog everybody else. You know?
They need more ferries.
More unicorns. Maybe the ferries need to be more aqua, more wet. Nope. I don't know where I was going with that one.
I've got naughty images of Tinkerbell in my head now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank goodness the show can be edited before it goes up.
It's Chia Pet. Just add water. That's brilliant.
So the base unit costs $320, and a 50% refill of your iPhone battery is $6.
And yeah. I can't imagine why this isn't taking the country by storm, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this is the technology of the future, people.
Yeah.
Well, and it's huge too compared to the phone. There, I'm seeing that. It's like, what in the world? It took that gigantic device 90 minutes to give me 50% charge on my phone for $6. Wow.
Yeah. So, like, what a surprise that the landscape isn't dotted with, FCX Clarities, which is a really cool car. What a drag. It's powered by fuel cells.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about these fuel cells? So they're powered by metal hydride fuel packs or whatever. Do you replenish that? I mean, do you just go to the store and buy some more metal hydride and pour that in there and reuse the fuel cell? Or, I mean, this is where I don't understand how a fuel cell works.
My impression off of this article is that it's a use once and toss kind of scenario.
Are you kidding me?
There's sort of different variations on fuel cell technology depending on which version. This particular version is really, really horrible because, you have to put water and these metal hydride like wafers in there, and the water and the metal hydride react to create electricity. And when they're done, you throw them away.
Okay, now I wish this was video chat so you could see the look of horror on my face right now.
I know, it's horrible, and I'm laughing.
Are you freaking kidding me? For $6 to get half a charge so you can throw that thing that's bigger than your phone away?
Well, not the whole thing. There's wafers that go inside of it. But either way, I mean, come on. It's just like, It's horrible. It's
the big piece costs $320. Is the little cartridge things or whatever that costs $6.
Right.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's terrible. And at that point, honestly, like, why wouldn't you could buy a little lithium-ion battery pack and recharge it somewhere. It's cheaper, it's easier, it's more reliable.
For $320, you buy another iPhone, and you just keep one always charged.
Charge them right away.
Nice. Just move the SIM card back and forth.
What am I missing?
Nothing. That's actually perfect.
That's a good solution. It's more cost effective than this, right, Linda?
Absolutely. Whatever. All right.
Patrick said they've reinvented the disposable battery.
Nice one.
That's beautiful.
And who doesn't love wafers?
Yeah.
No, that's hilarious. It is. It's dreadful. And imagine if this little stupid device can't charge an iPhone, why it doesn't work moving a vehicle down the road. I understand why it doesn't work.
I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
What is it Honda says that Clarity costs, like $700,000 or something to make? I mean, isn't it like some ridiculous price?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is. I think it moves the car just fine. I think that it's just nowhere close to, cost effective. That's the big thing. It's just too expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Just like this thing. So yeah.
So much for Aquafairy.
Yeah. Well,
And speaking of ridiculous and non-replaceable, oh, sorry, Danny.
One of the biggest discussion points, I guess pain points is a better way to put it. Linda has changed her name in the chat to
That's
Aquafairy.
awesome. That's what I was laughing about.
Very nice. One of the biggest pain points, at least on the Prius Chat forum, and I'm sure it's the same on other automotive forums, is the fact that people who get the factory navigation system are often disappointed with its performance, disappointed with its upgradability, just pretty much disappointed in general, especially when you compare it to the vastly superior systems that are in our phones these days. And Mercedes is kind of looking to fix that if you have enough cash.
In their own unique way.
Yeah. It's different. It's a modular built-in navigation system. And by modular, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically a unit that goes in your glove box, right?
Sorry, the chat room rocks. Okay. The Aquafairy jokes are flying back and forth. Yeah, it's for some reason I got the impression it's like the size of a toaster. I don't know why. But there's a module in the glove box that you can upgrade.
Yeah, so you can take it out and just connect it to the internet, and I don't know if you have to pay $100 every time you upgrade it or what, but hopefully it's, something that's free and is, has data updated on a regular basis.
I get, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, oh man, where do I start with this? Like fuel cells, it's like the idea is so cool, and it's stuff that all of us want, and, like, oh, that'd be so cool. But it's the devil's in the details. And how does it actually work out? Like, okay, so I pull my little box out of my car and I plug it into the internet, and then it's kind of vague about what's going on. Like, are the updates free? Are the updates going to be regular? Is there going to be one update every year or one update every month? If I don't update, what's going to happen? And to me, the really weird thing about this is the idea that I need to pull a box out of a glove box in a $50,000 luxury car and plug it to the internet. Like, why? It's a $50,000 car. They couldn't have put a G3 chip in there or something, or they couldn't have, like, just let me plug a flash drive into it. And
with the... Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say real quick, with the Mercedes-Benz clientele, I mean, it's going to be put in there and it's never going to get pulled out.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time picturing that this is a better solution than some sort of either wireless uplink or just basically a data port. Just that idea of a nice car having something that has to be physically removed and updated. I mean that just seems archaic. I don't understand why they think this is a great idea.
How hard would it have been for them to put like a Wi-Fi thing in there?
Yeah, I don't understand why was this better? Why is it better for any reason?
Or
I don't
why
understand why
can't
they
you?
think we'll give up our glove box for something like this. I mean, does anybody else keep stuff in their glove box besides
No,
me?
just
I mean, mine is
gloves.
packed.
Yeah, I have a few things in there, so
I just can't imagine. I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Um,
grumpy tonight, I guess. Nothing is pleasing me with these cars.
I don't know. It seems to me it's as far as when you get into the, step by step, actually performing the update. It might be easier just to like download an ISO file and burn that to a DVD and then slip that into the car's CD system and then have it update via that.
Oh, yeah, but you've already excluded like 89% of the public.
Well, 95% of them aren't going to reach into their glove box to take this thing out. So,
It does seem to be kind of silly that there wouldn't be some sort of wireless upgradability to it. There's so many ways they could do it, even ways that wouldn't require like a paid cell connection or something. Again, if it was Wi-Fi, so you drive it into the dealer punches in a password, and it's updated. You could do it at home.
it's too simple.
Yeah, it's and I'll express an opinion here. The car companies, the car manufacturers, all of them have no interest in making these vehicles upgradable, and they've fought it tooth and nail forever. Their solution to the aftermarket stereo, GPS, whatever, was adding more stuff to the cars, which is great, which they then charged you exorbitantly for. They need to let that go and understand that if they make their customers happier, they'll probably feel better about their car company in general and maybe even buy their products. I don't know. Maybe that's silly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just, them grabbing for every penny they can get. I don't quite get it.
Well,
It really irritates me that, I mean, I've had my car now a year and a half, and there's no kind of update or anything for it. The screen still looks the same, everything. Like, whatever, Toyota's already on to the next product.
oh yeah, and with the Prius V, they've already changed the center console design.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I can't get is why the hell do they keep? So I had to censor myself there. Why do they keep changing the dash design on the Prius? If it's a Prius family, make it a unique a uniform presentation, and do it right the first time. Don't use your customers as guinea pigs to see which one works best.
Well, yeah, hopefully they're learning that some things work better than others. But I mean, I'm all about the digital stuff and whatnot. You guys this is on topic, but it'll be talking about a different car. You guys seen the Lexus LFA, that supercar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the LCD gauges and whatnot on that? I think that's incredible because I'd love to see that on all the cars. It'd be like, I think we've had this discussion before, it would just be like your desktop on your computer. You would just move things around, you reconfigure, et cetera, et cetera. If people don't like the idea of people messing around with that, I mean, make a restore button that you can take it back if you screw something else up. But I like the idea of being able to change it at will. I don't understand why the car companies, I know people still like to see analog gauges and stuff like that, but there are an increasing number of us that are getting used to dealing with our computers constantly, and there's nothing analog about a computer. So I mean, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. Talk about easy updates.
I think they feel like any kind of upgrade makes you less likely to buy a new car. And I think they're probably right. I think if they're upgrading their older vehicles, they feel like you're less motivated to buy a new car. And that's horrible. That's really, really horrible treatment of a customer. And like I said, it irritates me to no end that there's nothing. My Dash and my 2010 Prius is going to look the same until the day I sell it. And there's no reason for that. I can go out and buy a $99 Garmin, and I can put little splash screens on there, and I can mess with it and do what I need to do with it. Fool around with it, customize it for myself, put new voices in. No big deal. And I buy a $30,000 Prius, and I'm stuck with it until the day I get rid of it. It's shabby treatment.
So let me ask you this, Danny, and anybody else who this bugs. You talk about the Prius family dash not being consistent between models. Do you think that the content partners have anything to do with the design and the presentation of their content? Do you think the iHeartRadio people or the Clear Channel people, do you think they get any say at all?
Oh.
I'm sure that they get some sort of say as far as within that portion of it, but
not enough to account for a difference in the family dash.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my larger pain point is in the speedometer area. They keep changing that around between different members of the family, and I guess I'm just being picky, but it just kind of bugs me.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick makes an interesting point about not changing things because of retesting and safety, and I think to a point that's valid. But I'm not even talking. I'm talking about little feel goods. Give me a chance to just change the display and make it prettier or make it different. Or put my name on the dash or something. Just little stupid stuff like that all of us know could be done incredibly simply. And if I have to reset it and it defaults back to the ROM in one of the car computers, then it does. No big deal. Yeah, hack away in the CAN bus. Nice. I'm going to do that, Patrick. I don't want to brick my car.
Well, I wonder...
Root.
I guess a car is one of the most dangerous things we do on a daily basis. But I wonder if the argument could be made in a time of rapidly changing technology, if we haven't started to over-regulate some of the aspects of the automotive industry, safety-wise.
You mean like cars that make noise and stuff like that? Ridiculous things like that?
Maybe stuff like pedestrian sound alarms and backup beepers.
And I bet the National Alliance of Automobile Association of America Makers, or whatever that evil organization is that I'll funnel money into, would probably love that point of yours. And I'm not saying it's not legitimate to a point, but I mean, again, keep in mind, these are the same companies that fought seatbelts and fought airbags and fought crash testing. My father worked for a car company for a while and rolled out a new model, and he used to tell me stories. I mean, like, literally, this is back in the early 70s when I guess maybe a penny and a half was real money. I don't know. But, how a couple of cents and they would go with a cheaper, not as effective device, whether it was a seat belt or whether it was something else. I don't. I see where you're going, but I'm really scared of the word overregulation. Oh, wow, shut everybody down. Okay, hey, it's been a great show. Thanks.
Sorry, I was
paying attention to the chat again.
I was busy changing my name in the chat to Charlie Sheen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those listeners who aren't in the chat room right now as we're recording this live and who are listening to this on iTunes or whatnot later, you got to get in here and get it on the chat room. You don't know what you're missing.
I guess this is a good time to remind everybody we have been posting the episodes, the video episodes, up on YouTube if you want to check them out, or you can go to livestream.com/whatdrivesus and you can watch any of the previous episodes.
What's the YouTube channel location?
Well, right now we're putting up the previews of the episodes at youtube.com/drivesusmedia,
Okay.
Or if you want to view the full length, because the Prius chat account is allowed to post more than 20 minutes at a time, we've got the full length episodes up at youtube.com/priuschat.com, all spelled out.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's I don't know that. So I don't know, Danny. I mean, what do you think about the overregulation thing? Is that really something you're concerned with?
I think that we are going to quickly reach a point where, like I said, technology is going to be moving much faster than the automotive industry is willing to move, just because of the costs that it would entail. And I think that consumers are going to be hurt by the fact that they aren't able to get the cool technology when they should. I mean, if you can buy a Motorola Zoom tablet with 3G built into it, or an iPad with 3G built into it, and mount it on your dash over your existing radio, and use a 3.5 jack to play audio out of the iPad, I mean, that seems like a much better use of $800 or $900 than buying a factory navigation system these days.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And it's not nearly as safe.
No, I agree. I mean, the only time I think the overregulation word applies is a very good example that you said, which is the noisemaker thing is absolutely ridiculous. But otherwise, I don't know. I think in some ways a lot of this is going to sort itself out as gas prices go up, and I think we're going to see some seismic changes in the way cars are sold and made and produced. And, I think some of that's going to help. But it's going to put more pressure on the car companies to make something that people are going to be willing to, take out a 6-year loan for. Whereas right now people, whatever, it's no big deal. I think that's going to change, but otherwise, I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, I was going to say I'll leave it to Linda and Jason if they're not too busy in the chat room, that is.
I'm not.
Okay. I was going to say something else. I totally forgot what it was.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have.
Well, hey, I got something real quick here. We've just been mentioning noisemakers. I had a conversation with a guy today who he's not really tuned in on this whole electric car thing that's headed our way in a big way, us meaning the country and in fact the world. And I happened to bring up the fact that it looks like Hyundai had delayed delivery of the Sonata Hybrid because of the last minute. We spoke about that week before, last minute change to the pedestrian warning system. And the guy says, well, what in the world is that? So we started talking about it, and this is somebody who hasn't thought about this. He thought, if his knee-jerk reaction was, well, that's ridiculous. So I don't think it's. Sometimes I wonder if it's just us geeks. They're like, oh, this is totally lame. We like our cars to be quiet, and the thought of a car moving and not making any sound is awesome. But where was the demand coming from for the for this type of a thing? And I was trying to share my feelings on it, that I think that nobody really wanted to, or not enough people wanted to oppose this. And I actually kind of pimped the show a little bit. I said, there's been a lot of discussion on the show before about this, but he was just flabbergasted too. He said that was completely lame. That's that he didn't think it was necessary at all. So I can't wait to hear one of these things for the first time. I'm sorry to get off on a tangent. I don't know what it's going to sound like, but
Well, it's actually interesting that you said that, Jason, because I was writing with a gentleman today who is the father of two small children, like I guess like 10 and under, and he was riding in my Prius, and we were just in the neighborhood, so I was in the EV, and he was like, the only problem I have with a car like this is the fact that you can't hear it, and I can just imagine, us hearing about some kid in the neighborhood getting run over by one.
Oh no!
And so I was like, oh, actually, they're coming out with these pedestrian noisemakers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to.
It's a whiffle.
Tried to explain to him why it's not the best. Anyway, I want to add one last topic to the show tonight because it's been in the news a lot this week, and it seems that Patrick in the chat would be pretty pissed off if I don't mention it. And that is
Well, hell with him. Come on.
a new app called PlugShare that is currently out for the iPhone and is about to hit the Android operating system. And it is basically like a crowdsourcing, community-driven electric or EV charging network. And it tells you where a plug is near you, and B, it lets you share your outlet with someone else. So it's a pretty cool idea. The EV community is kind of opening up their homes in a way, opening up their garages to other EVs that want to stop by and charge, and I guess not have a beer, but maybe have a soda or something while they're waiting on their car to be charged.
Get a back rub, eat dinner, No, it's totally cool. I mean, and this is certainly the kind of thing that's going to help fill in the gaps where there isn't public charging available. That will make these, make people that will make their homes or their businesses available for EV charging. And I mean, like, what a brilliant idea. Like, you have a coffee shop and you put, hey, come on over, charge your car and sell you, a cup of coffee or whatever. I mean, that kind of crowdsourcing is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool idea. I mean, and as a guy who, runs a community site all day, this is exactly what community should be all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a really good use of leveraging the technology, again, to fill in the gaps where the municipal stuff isn't there yet. So, I mean, and again, there's so many like cool potentials for this, whether it's businesses or whether it's, I don't know, people that just want to meet other EV owners, that kind of thing. Stalkers. No, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry.
Yeah, it really is the wiki of EV infrastructure, like Patrick just said in the chat.
Yeah. Sort of, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anybody with an iPhone, I think it would be cool just to kind of see where people are sharing their outlets. It would be cool to check out, especially for all of our EV drivers out there.
Absolutely.
Which I'm sure that our numbers are growing in that segment.
Hopefully. Yeah. At what did you say? 67 Leafs?
Yeah. Not any Coda or Karma owners, but
couple of thousand Tesla owners, maybe. I don't know. Are they up to 2,000 yet?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to throw in about PlugShare? You can go to plugshare.com and check it out.
There you go.
It's a cool idea. It would be also cool if, like, eventually it could turn into if it could translate over into a Google map or something on the web, so you can kind of check it out and make plans before you go.
I think it has a map function in the app, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, within the app, but I'm saying a web functionality.
Yeah, if there was like a site or something you could go to, sure. Well, there's an opportunity for someone. If only someone had an EV site that could host a Google map. Maybe leveraging the PlugShare API. Let me think about that.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, listen, Patrick, the site is coming. You're damn right it is, Patrick. Tiger phone, nice.
Runs off tiger blood.
Okay,
so I think that's all of our topics for this week, unless anybody from the panel wants to throw anything in.
Oh, I hope not. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's talk about scooters.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like 40 minutes since we've talked about scooters. Let's
Trash on them a little more.
Well, Linda, it was nice to have you back this week.
Thank you, guys. It was nice to be here this week.
I guess we'll start out with our shout outs of the week. I want to say I already got some interested folks into writing for Prius Chat, but we still have some room if anybody else is interested in writing for Prius Chat about it doesn't have to be Prius related articles. It can be EV or hybrid. We're doing it all, and there might be a site announcement in the future about that. So we'll see.
Excited.
But if you're interested, you can email Danny at priuschat.com or go to the What Drives Us page and submit something through the contact button, whatever you want to do. I also want to point any Prius owners out there. We had a couple new Prius owners in the chat last week, and just want to point any new Prius owners to go check out the Prius Chat shop. We're always adding new products, and we're probably soon going to start out on a Classio leather, it's all kind of seat covers group buy, and we're also going to start importing some turn signal side mirror covers for the Prius, the 2010 Prius. They're very cool.
I want some of those.
Well, if you're nice.
Oh, shit.
I'll sell you one.
I'll sell you some.
Yeah, I'm never nice. Oh, no.
Okay, so Russell, what do you got
Back
this week?
to me, huh? Okay, as always, thanks to Michael Mannering for our theme music. Please visit him at manthing.com and drop him a note and tell him how cool it was that we use his music on the show, or tell him how cool he is, or maybe buy a song from him or something, because he's got a lot of great songs. Or you can buy the What Drives Us theme, which, by the way, is called The Fire Sermon, and it's a great song. You can read my rantings published very irregularly at PriusOwnersGroup.com. Want to give a shout out to Justin. Hey, Justin. And I obviously... since Tony isn't here, I guess I'm going to take over the Facebook thing, huh? Unless somebody else wants to jump up and volunteer? No? Okay.
Go for it, Russell.
So a big shout out to all 290 fans on our What Drives Us page. You will find that at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. All one word, no spaces, no hyphens, no silly crap, just facebook.com/whatdrivesus. If you're not already a fan of the page, please stop by and like it. And you will actually see some really cool conversations / arguments. If Patrick is involved, it's an argument. And otherwise, it's probably a conversation. You'll get updates on the show, and you can, tell us if we're cool or if we suck, right there.
And I pick on Russell at least once a week, so
a new tradition I've noticed. Yeah,
that makes it fun.
That's fun. I can't wait to hear the scooter thread. I can't wait to read the scooter thread.
Well, don't forget that you can call us and leave a voicemail with your question or comment. Linda, do you happen to know that number?
575-51 Drive.
Wow, I thought you were going to mess it up. Okay.
Yay, I hear applause. Yay.
Linda?
Yes.
Like I said, it was nice to have you on this week. Do you have anything
Well,
you want
thank you.
to say in particular, maybe about Wisconsin and fires and looting? And
I would like to give a shout out to Justin, and I would like to plug a little show that I have a hand in helping produce, Green Drive Expo. You can come to the one in Madison, July 23rd, 24th this year, or the one in Richmond, California on September 17th this year. We'd really love to have y'all at both. You can find more details at www.greendriveexpo.com. And let's just hope that Wisconsin is still part of the union at that point.
Wisconsin and Texas, for being their own country.
I swear. Not a good night in Wisconsin.
Well, maybe it's a good night. Maybe it's a good start of something different.
And in 20 years, when people are listening to old episodes, they'll have to go to Google and start typing in the date to see what happened tonight.
What the hell are they talking about?
What are they talking about?
Yeah, Wisconsin. What is that?
Yeah, where was that? I heard about that once.
Didn't they used to do cheese?
Nice.
Northern Illinois, the state of Northern Illinois? Yeah.
Oy.
East Minnesota.
Great.
Greater Michigan, yeah.
Jason, what's your MPG looking like these days?
Getting better as the weather gets better, and I'm happy about both of those things. I hate the cold. I hate the wet. We still got some of that, but I'm also looking forward to Green Drive because that's about my favorite time of the year, the summer. So, Linda, I couldn't possibly miss the one in Wisconsin. The rest of you guys, I'm not real sure what's going to happen with the California thing, but I'm gonna try like hell to make it out to that, and I hope to see some of the listeners at both of these shows. Every time, just right after Christmas, I start thinking about, okay, now we're ramping up towards spring and then eventually summer and all the cool stuff that happens, and one of those definitely being Green Drive. So.
Well, I will hopefully be making an appearance there this year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll finally get to meet you, huh?
Yeah.
Did you say that officially?
Not officially, but, potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah. No announcements until my wife tells me I can make announcements.
Fair enough. Dodge that bullet, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. I get in a lot of trouble.
Uh-huh.
I know my wife gets on me all the time.
So embarrassing.
Gosh. I could make a closet joke there, but because you literally are in the closet.
I'm literally sitting here in the closet.
Visit us online at whatdrives.us to listen to or download all of our podcasts. You can also search for What Drives Us on the iTunes thingamajigger. It's very fancy, and it will let you subscribe to our podcast. You'll get updated there, of course, before, anywhere else, unless you want to check out the video podcast, which we've been posting a little bit earlier because I kind of do it just quick and dirty. And if you're a fan of our Facebook page, you can see when I post the link to that every week. So that's another reason to become a fan of Facebook. So don't forget, if you didn't get the chance to hang out with us live this week, we apologize. You missed a lot. But hey, there's always next week. You can just check out whatdrives.us/live Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Just go to whatdrives.us, click on the live button. Finally, thanks to everybody in the chat room tonight. You
Yay,
guys
chat room.
gave us
Chat
some
room
good
rocks.
laughs, good giggles.
Chat room really rocks.
It's a lot of fun for us, so we appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of the show as always. Look forward to seeing you next week. And so, for this week, thank you for listening. Download us next week and find out what drives us.
And here's where I dub in the music.
Oh,
Dong.
big loser.
Do you want to hear it? Oh,
Bong.
there.
Play it.
Jason's got a bass. He can just play
Yeah,
it.
come on, Jason. Can you give us a live version?
Do you want me to try to play something?
Yeah, give me
Go for it, man.
the opening of Fire Sermon.
I can give you something pretty darn close here.
Do it. Do it.
Do it, do it, do it. Triple dog dare ya.
Does that sound anything like Michael Mannering?
Holy shit, you can really play that thing.
That was really
That
good.
was nice.
I can get close. I told you I was a big fan back in the day. I studied that stuff all the time.
Wow.
You studied that, but you teach Pink Floyd. That says something.
Yeah, you got